Hello. Alrighty, so downshift is what used to be React Cadabra, what used to be React autocompletely. So, excuse me, I changed the name from React autocompletely because it does more than just autocomplete. You can build drop downs and a bunch of stuff with it. So yeah, I dropped that name, and then I switched it to React Cadabra based off of some good recommendations. I thought it was really cool, but decided against that too because we don't want to deal with concerns from like copyright infringement and stuff. So I switched it to downshift, and then I found out that I actually have to pass my name changes through PayPal or branding just to make sure that there's nothing wrong with that. And so I'm pretty sure that it'll be fine. In fact, I haven't even checked my email yet to see because PayPal has libraries like Nemo and Kraken. And so if Disney doesn't have a problem with those, I don't imagine anybody's going to have a problem with downshift. But it is still possible. I might actually change the name again. So yeah, we'll see. I'm pretty sure though that we're going to be fine with downshift, and that's what it's going to be. So yeah, downshift. PayPal/downshift if you want to see that. Oh no! You know what is down is GitHub. Erg. But anyway, eventually you can see that. There we go. So yeah, if you're just joining us, it's primitives to build simple, flexible, I don't know how to say that, WAI ARIA compliant React autocomplete drop down select combo box components. Yeah, maybe if there's an easier way to say all of that, because that is really long, but I just want to illustrate the fact that, like, yes, you can build all kinds of things with this. So yeah, its primary purpose is for building autocomplete components. Huge inspiration from Ryan Florence in this video or the talk compound components. Jared Forsyth gave me some really good ideas. He inspired the get props functions, which makes it so incredibly flexible. And yeah, so the things that I'm going to be working on specifically today are things in our milestone, the 1.0.0 milestone. GitHub seems to be having some trouble right now, so come on GitHub, sending good vibes. Yeah, so all of these things I need to do before I ship 1.0.0, and some of these things will be pretty easy. Some of them are basically done. So yeah, right now I'm working on controlled versus uncontrolled control, I guess, of the component. So just to show kind of what I mean by that, we've got, the basic component. Oh, whoops, I've got a breakpoint. What is going on? Okay, yeah, so uncontrolled, I can, interact with it. And this gets updated whenever there's a change in the selection. I call a function, and yeah, that gets, and then the function responds by setting the color. So that is the uncontrolled. So you really don't have any control into what's going on inside of the component. It's just like, here's your component, you render things however you like, and when the user makes a change, then I'll let you know. The controlled scenario is where, let's say you want to be able to control whether, oh, whoops. I think my demo is broken. I'm pretty sure that that's not a code problem. Let's fix that really quick. ToggleMenu. Huh. That's weird. This dot state that is open. And actually we'll do the same thing here. Render toggling doodaloo. And a hot module replacement magic happens. Okay, we're not getting any of those console logs though. Hot module replacement happening, right? What the? Am I filtering something? Oh, I'm hiding. Huh. How do I not hide things? So there was a recent update. There we go. Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, okay, it looks like I need to filter that out. So while I'm here, just really quick, I'm gonna do that. We've got a bunch of things we're filtering out. I want to filter that out. But then in addition, yeah, thank you, program 247365. And hello, other folks who have said hi. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, so yeah, I'm filtering out props that are needed for like internally for autocomplete and not needed when I am rendering the component. Like here, I call get root props, and that spreads things across here. Spreads the rest across, and that way you can add props to the autocomplete component. Actually, I'll have to think about that later, because you're rendering it yourself anyway, so might not need to do that. Now I'm thinking I don't need to do that, so I'll change that later. In any case, yeah, we're getting toggling. Toggling is always false, so that's interesting. I think it has something to do with, we'll just save that really quick. So we have this OnStateChange. We're using the change handler here, and here we'll say changes. I'm gonna get rid of this. And I click on this, and it render. Here, I should label my console logs. This is where the captain logger would come in handy. There's a Babel plugin by Kyle Welsh that you should check out, and it actually no, there's a newer one that Kyle I think may have referenced here. Let me find out what that was. Babel plugin captain's log. That's what it's called. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, and he may have deprecated. No, he didn't deprecate, or maybe he put it in the GitHub repo, because there was a newer one that came out, and I think he recommended folks use that. Maybe not. Maybe not. Oh, now I can't remember what it was, but it was really cool. Yeah, if somebody knows, but it automatically groups things. Oh, what's it called? Console.state Babel plugin, or what was it? Console.context. No, I don't think that's what it was. But you basically call console.something, and it'll give you all the arguments and everything. It's really cool. I should start using it more, or at all. Okay. So, yeah, program 247365 React clone element. Maybe I'll explain that in a little bit. I want to try and stay focused on this. So when I click on this, it renders true, and then I click on it again. It re-renders twice. Where's that rendering coming from? Okay, so change handler, and yeah, that's what's going on here. We click the toggle menu, the change handler runs. Yeah, so it's happening because the OnStateChange. So let's see. OnStateChange is running internal set state. So we've got this internal set state thing to make all of this work, and this pull request is still not accepted, but I'm pretty sure this is what I'm going to do. And so what this does is it takes your state to set, so you call this instead of set state, and it will merge your the state, or it'll split the state that you want to set between the props that are controlled and the props that are uncontrolled, and then it'll set state with the props that are being uncontrolled internally here in autocomplete, and then it'll call OnStateChange with the props that are controlled. So that's the purpose of this function. And it actually is going to call OnStateChange every time you say set state, which now I'm thinking might be part of our problem. But I'm wondering what is, oh, whoops. I need to fix this. Yes, next line, debugger. Yeah, so it's really annoying that prettier ESLint will remove debugger statements, and so I have to add this disable next line thing. So there's a story on the prettier atom, or not a story, but like a issue on the prettier atom to make it so that you can maybe split the things that you run in the editor versus the things that you run in the CLI, which I think would be super duper cool. But that is work to be done here. So I'm gonna make this bigger, give myself a little bit more room here, and I click toggle menu, and oh, wonderful. I don't see my, what's it? That's okay, I guess. Let's get rid of this. Okay, so here, watch this. This is an update as of today. You hold down the control key. What? No. There is an update to Chrome DevTools today where you're supposed to be able to hold down the control key and then click somewhere, and it'll continue to there. But that doesn't appear to be working. How disappointing! I was so excited about that. Okay, so actually what I wanted to find is where this is being called, and it looks like it's being called on mouse up. Aha! So when the autocomplete, when the menu is open and there's a mouse up on the document, we're going to look and see if the target is contained inside of our root node, and if it's not, then we're going to reset. So we need to figure out a way to avoid that reset because we don't want it to reset in this case. And I imagine anybody who wants to control the toggle menu open would also not want it. Actually, no, that's fine, because it's the job of the yeah. So if you're going to control the isOpen state, then I'm not going to deal with it. But I'll tell you anytime that it should be changing to true or false. So that's my job, is just to tell you that, and then you deal with it however you like. So the problem though is when I have a mouse up on anything outside of the autocomplete, then I'm going to tell you, hey, it should close, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll close it, but I just clicked on the button to make it open. So here we can actually show that it really works if I turn this off really quick. Uh-oh, I have to look into that. What is going on? Okay, here, let's actually look into that really quick. Let's get rid of this debugger statement. Now I know what's going on. And this blue thing is driving me crazy. Okay. Great. So I'm going to move sources here. And yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I can demonstrate. Oh, goodness. Let's find out what's going on here. We're calling controlled, calling set state. Huh. So it's in here. That, oh, whoops, my bad. That was better. That was in the demo. I thought that was a console log, I guess. Okay, but if I just use the keyboard, then this will work fine because there's no mouse up. And actually, now that I think about it, I might need to respond to those kinds of events as well to close it. Because if I go here and then I type something and then but if I blur, then it then it'll reset as well. So that's fine. Okay, but I want to be able to toggle the menu and toggle it closed. And it really seems almost like it's a concern of the user of the component. But how is the user of the component going to know if it really should accept the changes of is open? So it should only really accept the changes of is open for like when the user hits the escape key or when they select something. Well, it looks like it's not gonna do that when they, that's interesting. When they select something, it should be closed, I think. So that might be kind of a bug with this here. I do blue and I select it and it closes. So that's interesting. I do blue and I select it. Red. Huh. You know what, maybe Brian in space, you just said that the command and click isn't working, or it's working for you on your Mac. It could be that I need to restart Chrome or something, but I just barely restarted. I don't know, maybe restart my DevTools. Beep, beep. Yeah, we'll see if that makes it work. I don't know. Okay, so how, like one thing that I could do is I could inside of my set state call, like where I say OnStateChanged, I could add a change type or like change source or something. That could be potentially useful, but it could also make things pretty confusing. This whole controlled components thing is really powerful, but it also exposes some implementation details. Right now it's not too bad because the state is literally just highlighted index, input value is open, and selected value. And I think that's probably, like, I don't feel bad about exposing those things. I think those things are fine. But if we start adding things, or we're like, oh, I want to change this, now we have to consider the state as part of the API. But I don't know how to get around that. We're just going to have to consider the state as part of the API. I don't think that's a problem. So yeah, I'm here. I just thought I'd probably want to document this really quick. Honestly, I should be using JS doc annotation here. So this gets the state based on internal state or props. If a state value is passed via props, then that is the value given. Otherwise, it's retrieved from state. And this will be an object, the state. Yep. And this is why I don't like this kind of documentation. Like, yes, clearly this returns the state because it's called getState. But if I don't do this, then I have an ESLint rule that validates my JS doc. And maybe I should just delete that rule, but you know what? It's all right. I think that's fine. Okay. So, yeah, so I guess on this onStateChange function, I could like this internal set state, I could say type, and that would, and then I'd say the set is type or something like that. Include the type in the argument that I passed to onStateChange, and then yeah, and then we could respond differently in that case. Let's see, what would that value be every place? So here it'd be input change. This would be reset. Maybe reset could take a type and forward that along. Toggle menu, yeah, that'd be a toggle. Set highlighted index, highlight selected item. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't really want to do that. Let's see if there's a way to get around that. Just feels like that would be an API that would just grow and grow and grow and grow. Just trying to think how common is this use case? Do I need to really worry about it now? Is there a workaround, and then if somebody really comes against this, then they can we can talk about it. Or if the is open state is controlled, then maybe I don't want to close it when it's clicked out of, and you're just responsible for that. No. I think I don't want to make any assumptions, because I actually don't need to support, or I don't need this use case myself, so I'm not going to make any assumptions. We'll ship it the way that it is, and people can work around it if they want to. So that is what we will do. On change handler is open. Changes. So is open is false, and then I click this. Is open is false. All those other things are the same. I say set state, and then the yeah, because the mouse down fires, or it's a mouse up actually. The mouse up fires, and then the click fires, and the click is happening because this toggle menu. And you know what? Let's do this. This is a nice workaround. So this will be a function that is invoked here. Actually, yeah, this isn't a bad workaround. So the toggle menu will take a new state. This will be defaulted to this dot state dot is open. We'll negate that, and we'll just do is open new state. Just call it is open, and then we'll pre-bind the toggle menu. So we'll bind this with not this dot state dot is open. I think that will work. Nope. Maybe I've got my negation wrong or something. I don't know. Oh yeah, I do. I want the negation to be, or wait. Yeah, that's right. So wait, toggle menu, and it will be the opposite. And I want to, no, that's right. Hold on a second. Yeah, that's wrong. Rebinding with that state. So the next time I click toggle menu open, it should call is open with this value. Pre-binding with true, pre-binding with false. So the next time I call this, it should call toggle menu with false. Toggle menu is true. What? Because it pre-binds with true first. Because what happens is we say, okay, on mouse down or on mouse up, this change handler fires and it re-renders and it changes the on-click handler to pre-bind to the opposite of what I want it to do. So that was a good idea, but didn't work. So I guess it was a bad idea. Another solution could be that I just don't accept is open changes from internal. And here, actually, let's just go back to what we had before because it was fine. And then I don't accept is open. And that would make the toggling stuff work. Toggle, 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 toggle. But it wouldn't open the menu when the user types and close the menu when they're done typing and all of that. That would not happen. So I really do need to know what kind of change this is. There's not really a good workaround for it. So if I were to just say that it's the type of change is a reset, or it's a mouse down, then yeah, let's just try it out. Let's see. So the API I want is type, and I'll say here, we'll put that up here so that I can say if oh, actually no, it doesn't make any difference. So I'd say is open. We'll say const is open. We'll get rid of this thing. Equals change or type is mouse up. I don't know. I'll have to think of something else. But if it's a mouse up type, then we'll just do this dot state, or no, otherwise changes dot is open, and then we'll, or oh wait, no, that won't work. Yeah, we'll go back to this. Is open equals this dot state dot is open. So it has some value, and if the type is mouse up, then we're gonna do Latin const madness. Okay, is open. If the type is mouse up, then I want to take this dot state dot is open. Otherwise, we'll take the changes or otherwise we'll keep is open, which will be from the changes or from our own state. Okay, cool. So then inside of autocomplete, I'm actually going to pull the type out of state to set. So what we'll do is inside of this reset, we're going to say on or mouse up. And let's go find reset. And we'll take the type and then that internal set state OnStateChange arg. See, we'll have the type, but we don't want next state to have the type. So we'll just say if key is type, then return. And I'll add a little comment here. The type is useful for the OnStateChange arg, but we don't actually want to set it in internal state. Okay, so let's see if that works. Rebundling. So this hot module replacement thing is cool, but sometimes it takes a while. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, I don't know. But so that's working, and then if I do red, yeah, coolio. Okay, so I need comments here from folks. What do you think about this API, where you can accept a type? What if it was the downshift? So here we're calling it autocomplete. Autocomplete dot state change types dot mouse up, because I don't like using magic strings. I think that is unadvisable. But if I had some state change types, and here I added static, well, here, let's do this elsewhere. Do it below that. Static, state change types, mouse up. There, we'll do autocomplete, mouse up. Doesn't really matter what I call it. Whoops. And here we're going to do autocomplete dot state change types dot mouse up. Okay. That actually doesn't make things too complex. Maybe a little bit, but it's not terrible. And so you get a type. You get the mouse up. This will be capitalized. And yeah, and you only really care about this if you do need to control the outside world. Like our basic example here is going to work just the same. Yeah, no problems. Is there a document outlining the requirements for this project? Not really. Pretty much the requirements of this project are think of every autocomplete solution imaginable and make sure we can build that API for that solution using this. So yeah, so like React Select, we support actually I don't know if we even have an example of that. Let's see. Nope, we probably should get one, but we support multiple selection. Yeah, there are some edge cases, and we do need to make some opinions. Like we do have an opinion where if you hold down the shift key, it'll jump down 5. And I baked that opinion in because I like it as a user. So yeah, I don't know. I think for most things though, like what's really cool and what it enables so much flexibility is that I don't control rendering. I in fact don't render anything at all. There is no JSX or no React create element anywhere. The clone element here, somebody was asking about that earlier, is so let's say you render a div. I need to get access to the root node, and so I'm going to apply my own props on that. Yeah, so there's that. But yeah, other than that, there's like, I don't render anything for you. I just give you the props that you apply to the things you render. So yep, that is that's the power of this solution. And the logic, some of the logic, I think there are some opinions here. And goodness gracious, we're almost at 700 lines in this one file. And then we actually have 48 lines here and 150 here. Wow, this file's grown quite a bit. Lots of docs in there though. So pretty sure that this is still going to be way smaller than any other autocomplete library in existence, and have way more power too, which I think is pretty legit. Unfortunately, it will not have support for React Native out of the box because we're doing stuff like this. And I don't know how React Native handles that, but I'm pretty sure you can't like query DOM nodes and stuff. That probably doesn't work. Maybe there's a way to shim that, I don't know. But I'm not concerned with React Native right now. Eventually, probably will be, but yeah. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't have time to show you the whole example. I will show you. Well, I am still working on it though, so you can see that. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that I don't mind this internal state with type stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'll just add it in a bunch of places, and actually I'm not actually going to have a type for everything. We'll add types as we need them, because yeah, most of the time people probably won't really care about having a type. I don't know, that's kind of dumb. There should probably, if we're gonna have a type anywhere, we should have a type everywhere. So let's do that. And I think I am gonna do this state change types thing. So we'll do state change types. We'll find, let's find all the places where we call reset. Select item. That's interesting. Maybe it should be reset on mouse up and reset on item selected. So here, let's do that really quick. Reset on mouse up, and I'll go update that in a little bit. It'll be reset on escape. And this will be reset on input blur. That escape thing actually should be on, well, it could be either the input or the button, because we're, yeah, so we'll just leave it as is. And this is only on input blur, so that works. Okay, that's all of our resets. And then this dot internal set state. So here we're going to say the type is autocomplete dot state change types. Why does it think it's a function? It's weird. Maybe I should use like actual flow types or something. One day, probably. I don't know. So state change types, and this is set highlighted index. Okay, I'm a little bit confused what these two things are. fix me. So we call set highlighted index and then highlight selected item. Where is highlight selected item called? Oh, okay. So here, if we have an item selected, and then we toggle menu, it's open. Okay, so once we've opened it, then if it is open, we're going to highlight the selected item, but that doesn't appear to be working. Selected value dot length. Oh, this is for if there are multiple selections, I think. Maybe. Selected value could only really have a dot length greater than 0 if there are multiples. I think I'm looking at a bug, but I'm not sure what that bug would be. Also, I don't have a use case for multiple selections, so I think I'm just going to leave it until somebody with more context finds it and can help fix it. Okay, so in any case, where's my fix me? There you are. So we'll say let's see, set highlighted index. It's going to happen a couple times. So the type, I'm more concerned with the type by like, what is the root action that caused this type or caused this state to be updated? And set highlighted index is used in a couple different places. So I'm going to actually accept a type here, and we'll pass it along here. So whoops. So the index and the type for highlight index. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that is interesting because index is actually optional and it'll default to something. Rats. Wait, this default highlighted index. Oh, I want that to default to 0, I think. Just going to change that really quick. Yeah. Okay, in any case, here we'll pass the index, which it could be undefined. And then we'll also accept type. Here, let's see, highlight index. It's only used in one place. Most excellent. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this here. That was a mistake. Here we go. And we called it once. We never call it with an index, so we can call it highlight selected item. Hold on a second. Move highlighted index. Okay, it's called with an amount. So we'll also call it with a type. Autocomplete dot state change types dot arrow. Let's see, yeah, arrow down. Okay, and we'll do the same here. Arrow up. And then this is going to accept the amount and the type. And then set highlighted index accepts the highlighted index, which is going to be our default highlighted index. Here, how many places is this called? Yeah, okay. I guess it's called in several places. So we'll just pass undefined and the type. Cool. Okay, but let's look around other places where we call this the type for change highlighted index. Oh, okay, we'll also pass the type to that, I guess. Yep, that's fine. And this will accept the type. What if I want to instead get next highlighted index? We'll return the new index. We'll change this get next highlighted index. And we don't need to pass the type, just pass the amount. And then we don't do this. And const next highlighted index. And the open menu thing, I'm thinking, because we're toggling the menu, and ToggleMenu calls set internal state. So I think it'd probably be better to, if we want to open the menu, we just set state ourselves. Here, open menu. So let's say let next highlighted index. We'll set that, and otherwise it's going to be this dot props dot default. Or here we'll just we'll leave it as is. We'll say const next state. Let's see, and no, I think I might be messing stuff up here. Set highlighted index. Oh yeah, because then we have to scroll. What if we in set highlighted index? I think I'm making all this too complicated. So here's what we'll do. We'll just back up, back. Yeah, we'll pass the type, and then we'll pass the type here. And simplicity is, yeah, that is more simple. We can optimize it later if there's like performance concern, multiple renders or something like that. But for right now, besides, well, let's see. What if we do this? Set state is batched, right? So should be okay. We are going to call OnStateChange multiple times. Is there a situation where set highlighted index should not open the menu? I don't think so. The only time you'll ever want the highlighted index to be set is when the menu is open. So what if we just did is open is true, and then we don't need to open the menu. Just will always be open. Yeah, mouse enter. Yeah, it'll naturally be open anyway. Yep. Yeah, okay, cool. We'll add a comment here. Is open always applied when you want to set the highlighted index? Is open is probably always true, except when using arrow up, down on a closed menu. Okay, cool. So that gives us the type for that. and highlight selected item. Doodaloo. So let's call that just one time. That really only seems to apply for the multiple input case. Hold on a second. This needs to also have a type. So here we'll say undefined and autocomplete dot state change types dot toggle menu. But the toggle menu itself should probably have a type. Types everywhere. I don't like how intrusive this is on the implementation. Don't like it at all. So one thing we could do is whenever there's an action, we set this dot action type. But boy, would that be a problem too. You know what? I'm going to go back and we're just going to go back to not having a type everywhere. And we'll just have a type for the mouse thing. Wait a second. Oh, shoot. Mouse down. Or, let's see. Okay. Sometimes my undo gets like really messed up. Okay. Yeah, so we'll just have a state change type for this, where reset oops, there we go. Can accept a type, and you can pass the type. And then I honestly can't think of too many other situations, at least not right now, where you really wouldn't need to know what type the change was. So I'm going to leave it like that, and then I'm actually not going to document it. And people can discover it and find it useful. And if they want to have something in the future, then we can add more types in more places and stuff. But right now, all I think it's doing is making things more complicated. So that's what it's going to be. Okay, cool. So let's see what else. Yeah, I think we've got it. We can change things, and let's go ahead and get rid of the console logs. Okay. And yeah, blue and green. Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. Okay, this is great. So let's, now that we've got some of that dealt with, let's go ahead and look at some of the, I probably should have done this earlier, because I've got some people who are nice enough to review this pull request. Thank you, people. Okay, so yes, I read this earlier. Bernd is correct, and his suggestion is great. So we've got state and rather Scrunch this over a little bit, give me a little more room. I'm just gonna copy what he said because it was great. And I missed the T, so we'll just do that. This function is called anytime the internal state changes. This can be useful if you're using downshift as a controlled component where you manage the state. And then pass it props rather than letting downshift control all the state itself. You manage some or all of the state here. And I like to, I don't know why I do this to myself, but I like to line it up. I should like get a tool that does that for me, like a prettier for Markdown, but yeah, okay. Downshift, for those wanting to do press releases, haha, downshift should always be lowercase, even if it's at the beginning of a sentence. It's downshift, right? Lowercase, makes sense. Great suggestion. We'll use that, thanks. And Stephen is saying, yeah, so state update transform was actually not a bad idea, but I feel like that would make things a little bit more complex. So I'm not going to go with that. I like the OnStateChange thing. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's naming of state props. I actually kind of like state props. It's like they're props for state. I could call them props for state, but no, I like state props. Sorry, Stephen, I'm not gonna go with that. Thanks for your feedback, though. I appreciate it. Johannes is saying he loves it. Looking forward to 1.0. There is quite a bit of complexity in internal state. And he added some comments to simplify. Yes, I read this one before. Unfortunate. Great suggestion. Really simplifies things. Unfortunately, it would also get props or state. Oh, that's interesting. Actually, he makes a good point here. The user would want to, like if you want to set it to null, then you should be able to, like highlighted index should actually be able to set it to null. So instead, what we'll say has own property. There we go. So if the props have the property, then we'll get it from props. Otherwise, we'll get it from state. Though I would prefer to not spread all the props on that object if I can avoid it. Yeah, the only use case I care about is the state for this function. But you do make a great point here. So I'm going to change that to use this .props has own property key. So the user can set it to null or undefined as they wish. Should they set it to undefined? That would actually be really dumb. So what I'm going to do instead is equal to undefined. Then we'll get it from state. Otherwise, we'll get it from props. to null. Yeah, that'll be better. Okay, and wondering why you're doing this in the callback rather than within the setState call. Yeah, that's a good question. OnStateChange. Thanks for the suggestion. Well, let's see. Yeah, let's see. Well, the thing is, we call onChange. Let's just move these up here. The state hasn't changed yet, but I'm saying it's changed. I feel like that would be a bad thing. I don't want to mess with things. Yeah. Thanks for the suggestion there. I think I worry that that doing that could lead to some interesting effects in a negative way. What we're doing when we call these functions is saying the state has changed. However, if we do it in the state callback, or the setState call, then we're saying the state will probably change in the future. I don't believe that, React actually makes any guarantee about what the state will end up looking like after our state changes. Due to batching setState calls. So, based on that, I think it actually would be wise to do some of our args calculations in the callback function. Maybe. No, we'll just leave it at that. I'm not sure. So I think it'll be better to leave it as is. Thanks though. Okay. This is an undocumented feature for now. Not all internal setState calls support it, and I'm not certain we want them to yet. But it enables us to, what does it enable us to do? Or enables users controlling the isOpen state to know when the state change or the isOpen state changes due to mouse up events, which is quite handy. Okay. You know that code is complex when you have to write a whole bunch of comments to explain what's going on. I don't like doing it, but I think that it's necessary. Here I'm actually going to change this also to be this .props key undefined. Here we'll say state key key equals, hold on a second, this looks suspiciously familiar. Oh, that's get state. Get state from state to merge this dot state. Boom. Those are basically the same thing. So do param object state to merge things with defaults to this dot state. And then or let's see, merge something something get state. Ha. Get rid of this thing. I should probably take these docs up there. Okay, cool. So let's see, where were we? Somewhere around here. Okay. I think we're pretty good, and I'm gonna go ahead and just verify things really quick manually. Blue, whoops, blue, green, toggle menu, escape, clear selection, toggle, woo. Yeah, this is cool. Okay, and then just to cover our bases here, basic. So one thing that kind of is bothering me is when I go down here, I'm guessing that the highlighted index is set to null, and I don't want it to do that. I think it may have been something that Travis added a while ago and I missed it, but I don't like it. So I'm gonna change that. So let's see, arrow down, or let's see, move, highlighted index, change highlighted index, move amount. If, let's see, new index equals null. No, I don't want it to ever equal null. So if the new index is great or is less than 0, yeah, if new index is less than 0, then we want it to be items last index. Yes, new index equals items last index. Else if that, then new index is 0. Yep. This is what you can do when your software is not actually released yet. Come on, HMR, you take way too long. Yeah, that's what I want. I expect that there will be use cases that we need to see, like to use in the future, where you want to control change highlighted index. And what I'm thinking we could do is just have a expose this on props and then just make this the default. Ah, heck, why don't we do that now? No, let's do that when it's needed, when somebody asks for it, because who knows, maybe nobody will. Although Travis seemed to want it, so. Oh dear. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and, do we need to change any docs? I didn't change any APIs from what it was before. So I think we're ready to go. I think this is ready to be merged. So I'm gonna pull this thing over, and we'll just go, let's look at the diff here. I'm not going to document the state change types here. I'm going to actually add a comment here. This is an experimental feature, so we're not going to document this yet. Okay, so we've got that. We updated our get state to be a little bit better. Updated that thing, changed that to that, added some more comments, removed that method that was a duplicate, added a type, filtered out set. Oh yeah, let's talk about that. So I'm going to just because I don't think we really need to do this. Get root props. Yeah, I don't want to. So basically what this is doing is it allows me to say on my basic autocomplete, I can say like ID equals hi, and it will apply the ID to the thing that's, actually it'll apply it to this is what it'll apply it to. But I can do that right there. I don't need to have some sort of special, like it's gonna forward all the props. No, I just do it myself. That will be much better. So I'm going to remove that capability. I don't think it was even documented. So let's make sure it wasn't, because I don't want to do this. Yep. So we're just going to get rid of that. And that. And then we can get rid of this. And we'll get rid of this and this. And then we get rid of all these things. Boom, boom, boom. And we'll just do this stop. Well, I actually normally like to pick things off at the top so that I know exactly what this function needs. So we'll just do this. Children, right at the top. Okay. Neat. Let's just make sure this works and doesn't warn anything. Yep. Wonderful. Okay. Cool. So now I'm gonna, let's go back here. Let's look at our diff. Doodaloo. And I'm going to add some comments to, oh, whoops, I don't want to. This is why you look at your diff, kids, because no reason to have that. I'll add comments to the pull request so people looking can see what I did and why I made choices and stuff. Or we'll just get amend. That'll run my commit hook. Get amend is alias I have for get commit all the things amend. Oh yeah, no edit. Yep, I think that's my alias. Pretty handy. So, holy moly, I've got 18 Twitter mentions. I probably got on some sort of back and forth conversation. Yep, I did. Somebody's thanking me for Babel plugin preval. If you haven't looked at it, go check it out. And the glamorous version 4 is here. Hooray! And nobody's reported any bugs yet. Ha! Oh, so Atticus is asking me on Twitter what my diff viewer is. So like when I look at, whoops, the git diff thing. Oh, snap. Got a couple linting problems. We'll look at those in a sec. So my git diff where it like highlights things and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's called diff so fancy. And you can get it from NPM. So, yep, very cool. Love it, love it, love it. So, diff so fancy. I'll paste it in the chat here. Enjoy that. That's great. And I'll respond to Atticus. It's awesome. Okay, sweet. So, yeah, let's fix these linting problems. Why did I, oh, yeah, they're right here. That prop is never used. Well, you know what? Even though it doesn't look like it's used, it actually is. So we'll disable the next line, React no unused props. Why does this one say that it's being used? Oh wait, what else? Prop types. Prop stop. Well, that's weird. Oh, wait, no. No, no. Okay, what we'll do here is actually disable this rule, and then we'll enable it again. Let's just make sure that works because I haven't really used it a whole lot that way. Foo prop types dot number. Yeah, okay, cool. So that works. What if I remove this? Still works. What if I move that down? Ba-na-na-na, sweet. Okay, so now with that, we'll add all the things and amend. Any good resources to learn JavaScript? If you go to javascript.com, they link to a couple good resources. There's also You Don't Know JS, which I think might be a little bit like deeper. I'm not sure how beginner friendly it is. It probably is really beginner friendly because Kyle Simpson is great. Yeah, but anybody else can feel free to comment in the chat. Really good resources for learning, getting into JavaScript. I pretty much just build stuff and make lots of mistakes. That's how I learn JavaScript. Okay, so we're gonna push all of our stuff. We'll get back here. I'm afraid to look at my notifications. Okay. We refresh this. And I'm pretty sure, hey there, Atticus. I'm going to just unsubscribe from this. I don't need to get those messages anymore. Okay, let me go ahead and comment in here. Oh, I don't need those anymore, but I really don't care. I'm just going to leave it. Docs are good. That's good. see the controlled example for a use case for this. Okay, so I'm just gonna add those comments and we'll make sure the build passed. Not that there's a whole lot that's being built right now. We have one test that just makes sure that basically we don't have any serious problems. I'm gonna write tests hopefully this afternoon. And yeah, so we're good. Squash and merge this. And use administrator privileges, yes. Thank you. We'll delete that branch. And then I'm going to come in here, check out master, pull that, and we'll look at our package JSON. This is what I have to do until, I release a actual version and have my release automated. Now I can say npm publish tag beta. Oh, wait. Let's just make sure we rebuild everything. What's the advantage of relative line numbers? Sure, while that's building. So relative line numbers, wow, okay, come on, are really useful when you're in Vim mode because I can navigate just using the keyboard. And if I wanted to get to this line, then I could see the line number is 14 and I type 14J. And that'll get me right down there. And I can say, if I want to get back up to static prop types, I'll get 24K. And so, I can go to visual mode and I'll select everything from here to 18 and I can copy that and stuff. So yeah, when I'm in insert mode, I hit I, then I go back to normal line numbers so that if I'm like coding with somebody, then they see, oh, on line 18, this thing. And then I can go, oh, okay, I get up there. So. Do I often use Vim mode? Yes, I always use Vim mode. That's actually the reason why I don't use VS Code is because the Vim mode in VS Code is not very good. not, at least not compared to what I can get with Atom. Atom's Vim mode is really good. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna commit beta.11, push that, and now you can npm install downshift at beta 11. Yeah, Vim is so good. I don't like Vim itself because I don't want to build my own editor. Yeah, there's just like too many things that I can get with this editor that I don't have to figure out myself. Who needs those? So yeah, I'm not going to use. I used Vim itself for like 4 months or so. After trying it 10 times, I finally got it. But then I was just so tired of my editor not having all the features that I wanted, and I didn't want to have to build all those features. So that is why I have this now. Okie doke. So let's go ahead and close. Actually, I think that merging that closed that. Here, oh, one thing that I like to do here is I'll copy this deep so folks know I've published it. Normally I don't have to do that on my libraries once I have the automated releases going. Okay, so I think the next thing I want to do is I'll just add this label component really quick. That should be pretty straightforward. And let's see. Yeah, so this won't play nice in SSR in React 15, but that is totally fine. I'll generate the random ID, and if you need server-side rendering support, then you can create your own ID, and that's fine. Just override it. So let's do this. We're going to, normally I would implement a feature like this using test-driven development, but I'm not going to do that right now because I don't have any tests, and I kind of want to wait until I have the API solidified before I start writing tests, because I don't want changing the test to slow me down from actually like writing the code. So great. So let's go ahead and we'll go to our basic, I think, and we'll use the API the way we want it to look like. So we're going to do get label props, and here we'll have a label, and we'll apply get label props, and what is your favorite color? And we'll remove the placeholder, or we'll say enter color here. Okay, cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So now we just need to tie those two things together. So we'll do get input props, and we're gonna do get label props instead, or in addition, and we're gonna find that and put this right here. Okay, and so here we're going to change this to label, and it'll be get label props is a function that you cannot bind, and it's going to accept props, and it will return. So we're making acting under the assumption that you're only going to have one input per autocomplete, and also one label per autocomplete. So we could set the ID to the like on the instance, and I think that'll be fine. So but the label get label props or the get input props, either one of these could be called first. We have no, like, yeah, there's nothing to say that it shouldn't be. So we're going to say this dot label ID equals this dot label, or let's see, input ID. Oops. Equals this dot input ID. Okay, so this is actually tough, because one thing that I might want to do is I might be like, oh, and the ID is going to be foobar. So yeah, if you're gonna do that, and I've already generated, I'm gonna just throw an error. That's not something we can get around. So we'll say this dot get input props dot called equals true, and then we do this with the get root props thing. If and this dot or wait. Actually, we'll do this dot get label props dot called is true. And we'll reset that here. False. We do something similar for get label props. Okay, and then so we'll say this has been called, and props.id. Here we'll just do this HTML4 or for HTML. I can't React HTML4 or React for HTML. I can't remember which. HTML4. Yeah. So it's gonna be HTML4 or this dot input ID. Okay. So if I were to, like, if I did it like this, then the get input props would be called first, and the ID would be set. And so in that scenario, we'd already have an input ID. Dot input ID. And we'll just do equals this dot input ID. There we go. Declarativeness, yay! And return with HTML4 or the this dot input ID. Or whoa. There we go. Okay. So if the label props has been called, and yeah, so if the label props has already been called and the input is getting called, so if this dot get label props dot called and rest dot ID, then we'll throw a new error that says drop shift or downshift. And we'll want to interpolate some things into here. You provided the ID of rest.id on for your input. but did not pass that to but passed this input ID, which in the case if you don't call it yet, or if you've called it and you called it with nothing, then let's see, but the HTML4 of your label is you must either remove the ID from your input or set the ID of the label to equal to the ID, or the let's see, set the HTML4 of the label equal to the input ID. It's kind of a long message, but yeah. Okay, and of course prettier formats template literals like the worst, but I don't care because I don't have to do it, so I accept it. Okay. Oh, did I miss something? You provided for your input, but the HTML for your label is you must either remove it from your input. Thank you. Okay, so that's what happens if so if I provide the ID and it's different from oh wait, this could also be and res.id is not equal to this.input ID. There we go. So then we're going to say ID is this.input ID, which could be, let's see, res.id. Actually, wait. This.input ID equals this.input ID or res.id. There we go. So that way, if I call the input first, then I'm going to, and I haven't generated the ID yet, but we'll do that in a little bit. But if I call the input first, then it's going to take the ID that you provide, and we'll say or generate ID input ID. That'll be yeah, I don't think I need that on the instance. We'll just make that a global function. We'll put it in utils actually. And we'll say, like doing all my const declarations at the top, const input ID counter equals 1. Can I make an ID a number? Or no, we'll just do return autocomplete input ID counter. This is going to be let because we want to increment it. ++. And then we'll export this. And let's just go ahead and comment. This generates a unique ID for all autocomplete inputs. actually, you know what? This would be really, really annoying in snapshot tests because it could be like different every time. So what we're gonna do is we'll use like a placeholder or something. So if the, no, that won't work very well. I think we'll deal with that problem when it comes up. Okay, so this is going to return us a string and the unique ID. Okay, that'll be good for now. Let's get rid of this thing. Whoops. Get input, or generate input ID. And here we'll also do, actually I think we have we're going to need the same logic here, because if I provide an HTML4 and I'm not supposed to, then that could be a problem also. So we're going to say this dot get input props dot called equals true, and then we'll do called equals false, get input props, and something similar for get input props. Okay, so get input props is called get input props, and we're just gonna put all this stuff as props, and we'll say props.id or dot HTML4. HTML4 is not equal to this. Whoops, that's props. So if the input props was called and you provided an HTML4 and that HTML4 is not equal to the input ID, yeah, because by this time the input ID would be set by the input props function. Then you provided the HTML4 of props.html4 for your label, but the ID of your input is yeah, just either remove the ID for your input or set HTML4 equal to that. Yeah. So same. Well, let's see. Yeah. There are a couple other ways you could get around that, but I'm not going to stress over that. People shouldn't be doing this very often anyway. Okay, so then we've got the input ID is going to be the same thing, except it's going to be props.html4, and then we'll let's see, const. Here, actually, we do want to do this, right? Wait. And we want to pluck off the. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Just move it down. There we go. That'll merge nicely. Okay, I think that will do it for us. So let's just do a little bit of manual testing here. Like I said, normally you want to really actually test this for realsies, but yeah. Oh, cannot read HTML4 if undefined. Well, that's fine. We'll just default this to an empty object like we do with the other ones. Okay, what is your favorite color? Blue. It is. Hooray. Okay, cool. So then if I move this on the other side, boy, I don't know why it takes so long to rebuild. green, hooray. Okay, coolio. And then if I provide HTML4 blah, here actually before I save that, let's look at the, just make sure that things are set up properly. Yeah, input ID 4, who cares what it is? Yeah, okay. So if I set it to blah, then we should see the input ID be blah. Ta-da! And the label is also blah. Sweet. But let's say that I provide an ID here of hey, then I should see an error, because I have no way of doing that. Downshift, you provided the ID of hey for, maybe I should like put that in quotes, of quotes that for your label, input is that thing, put that in quotes. That'll be a little bit nicer. Come on. Boy, this, there we go. This is taking forever. Could be that I'm live streaming right now. That sometimes slows my computer down a little bit. But it's okay because you're helping me focus. Otherwise, I would have jumped to Twitter like a million times. Hey, speaking of Twitter, I've got one notification. One of my favorites. Mine too, Charles. Okay. Yep, see, Twitter. I just, as soon as I think of it, I'm just like, oh, Twitter, what's over here? Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, speaking of, okay, so if I change this to be the same, blah. See, I think at this point I probably should start writing some tests, because these things that I'm doing right now, these manual tests, would be great as actual tests. Yeah, I don't use TweetDeck a lot. I only use TweetDeck if I want to tweet from like the glamorous thing or something. Yeah, I use TweetDeck a lot. Okay, cool. So that is working as expected. And then if I just get rid of these altogether, then it works still and it's generated. Ta-da! Okay, cool. Here, and let's turn this into a glamorous label. Label. And const label equals a glamorous div. And this actually, we'll do font weight, bold, and display block. See what that does. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that looks cool. All right, great. And then if we, let's see what happens when we turn on the accessibility features.
Voiceover on blanked. New tweets available. Press period to review them. Blanked.
No, I'm not.
You are currently on a combo box inside of a frame. Type text to display a list of choices. Press Control Option Space. To exit this red area, press Control Option Shift up arrow.
Okay.
Blue. You are currently on a combo black. No result. Reload this page. Storybook web content. You are currently on web content. To enter the web area, press Control Option Shift down arrow. 90% loaded. Visited link filter edit tab examples basic menu control menu item.
What?
Semantic UI Apollo menu item. You are currently on
No way.
To choose this menu item, press storybook frame.
That's weird.
Chrome busy.
Okay.
Busy. Leaving table. Show all button. Enter color here. Combo box. You are currently on a combo box inside of a frame.
Huh.
Type text to display a list of choices.
See, I don't know if I'm just
space. To exit this web area, press
don't
Control
know
Option
how
Shift
things
up
work, or
menu 12 items. Chrome busy. Closing menu. Enter color here.
okay, hold on.
Frame. Voiceover off.
Gonna turn that thing off. And hold on a second. What happened to my accessibility stuff? I have an accessibility. Maybe it. Huh. Maybe my accessibility extension is busted. Yeah. Yeah, that's reading up my passwords. That would be dangerous. Okay, options. Something's busted. Update extensions. Details. Shouldn't this be adding my... So it's something with audits, but then it also adds accessibility properties to the DOM node you're looking at. It's an old screenshot, but it should be adding that somewhere, but it's not. Wait, why is that a div? Whoops, my bad. That should be a label. I wonder if maybe that's why. Because yeah, div 4, yeah, that doesn't make sense. But it should still be showing the accessibility tab, right? Yeah. The latest Chrome maybe broke the extension or something. Perform an audit. I'll just do accessibility right now. Excuse me. Well, that's taking forever to refresh. This is when I get distracted by Twitter. Okay, well, we're doing pretty well on accessibility. I don't need to worry about that. Huh? I have no idea. That didn't help me much. So that's kind of disappointing. I'm not sure how screen readers work. I'm just a lowly software developer trying to make it by in this world. Trying to help people. Why is it telling me about Twitter? Why? It's like a totally different page.
To display a list of choices, press Control Option Space. To exit this web area, press Control Option Shift up arrow.
Okay, why didn't it tell me the label or like any...
Leaving frame. React Buffer menu item list 7 items level 3. You are currently. What is your favorite color? Combo box enter color here.
Okay, what is your favorite color? Yeah, okay. It worked. It worked. Okay. Worked. It worked. I'm done. Okay, great. So, and I have proof because I'm literally live streaming this. So, there you go. Let's just look at our diff here. Make sure we like things. Get label props is now exposed. We do need to document that, so we'll do that. Oh, let's just make sure really quick that if there is no label, we'll comment that out, that not only does get input prop still work, but also we can provide an ID of whatever. Oh, before I save that, let's make sure that no generated ID is applied. Yep, there is one. And I don't want to apply a generated ID if none is applied, but I guess I can't really avoid that. So yeah, we'll just have to leave it as is. If I don't want an ID, then I could say null. Right? That'd work, I expect. Nope, doesn't work. Okay. So we got to make that work. Input ID, because we're doing ORs. See, this is where, what's his name? Nicholas Vivacqua, he wants to add this to the language, which would say if the input ID is anything but undefined, then that's what we use. I think that would be kind of useful, like right here. So let's do I'm gonna just write a little utility method. First defined args return args.find a is not, or type of a is not equal to undefined. Returns the first argument that is not undefined. This will be anything, and it can return anything. Yeah, the first argument, or yeah, the value none, or the defined value. There we go. The arguments. Oh goodness. Does that work? Okay, whatever. JSDoc, I don't understand you. Okay, cool. So now I can go in here and I can say first defined, and actually let's say first defined, and instead of these things, just do that. And first defined, and now you can explicitly say that you don't want an ID by saying ID is null. Rebuilding, you're taking forever, come on. And there is no ID. Ba-na-na-na. And I can say wat for my ID if I want to specify an ID. Rebuilding, and wat. Wonderful. Okay, I think that's ready to rock and roll. So, cool, let's document this thing. Readme, and we'll find get input props. Oh boy, here we go. Wink. Get label props. It's a function that returns the props you should apply to the label element. Read more below. Yeah. And put that here. This method should be applied to the label you render. It is useful for ensuring that the ID, the for attribute on the label, HTML4 in, oops, it's a React prop, is the same as the ID you specify on the input, or that appears on the input. If no HTML4 or let's see, is provided, then an ID will be generated and used for the input and the label for attribute. There are no required properties for this method. Okay, cool. I think this one is good to go. Okay, let's just look at the diff here again. We got that, looks good. Okay, let's, I'm going to go ahead and just merge this because I don't want to wait. So I'll just, well, I'll make a pull request just so people see it. BPR get label props. Add. So the reason that we're adding this get label props and all this complexity around generating things and stuff isn't that you can't do this yourself. Like, this is really easy to do. Like, if I wanted to do this myself, I would just be like, label HTML4 is like foo, and then here I could just say ID is bar, and like that would totally work. Or sorry, ID is foo, and that would totally work. But the reason that we're exposing this and documenting it is just to make it easier for people to not forget. So they see it, they're like, oh yeah, I should be doing this accessibility thing, and they can do it themselves if they want to. I should probably call that out in the, whoops, call that out in the docs here actually. Oops, that was a close call. Note, you can definitely get by without using this. Just provide an ID to your input and an edited HTML4 to your label, and the same HTML4 to your label. And you'll be good with accessibility. However, we include this so you don't forget, and it makes things a little nicer for you. You're welcome. Okay, great. So we're going to commit all those things with, actually we'll do, I have this alias for git, let's see, git config. I don't think there are any secret keys in here. Ooh, pretty sure not. Oh, there's my token. Oh shoot. Well, that's great. Okay, nobody do anything. Gotta revoke my token. What? Okay, nobody do anything with that token. I'm gonna actually, I'll hide that. Ha, you can't see it anymore, but it is recorded. Man, this is so frustrating. This is why people don't live stream. And I trust all you good folks, but I don't trust the people who find out that I revealed my token and want to do something. Gosh dang it. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna take care of this token situation. Blah. Okay, I figured it out. You want to find out how I did it? So I made this little demo app a couple weeks ago for a talk. And actually I can't remember what I made it for. I think it was for Glamorous. Anyway, so I had a personal access token that I'd revoked after the talk. But I had it right in here, and it just had like read capabilities. So I came back to this thing and I put in the token that you all saw, and I made a request with it. And then I went back to GitHub and I looked at it has a list of my tokens, but it doesn't show the actual token, just shows the name and how recently it was used. So I entered my username, it popped this up, so it hit the GitHub API, then I looked there and I saw one that was used in the last day. And that was the one. I removed it, and then I came back here to verify, and I can't add other people. So yeah, so it works. So I can go Max Stoiber, and nothing's gonna happen because that token doesn't work, so feel free to try it. Whoa, that was kind of scary. Okay, anyway, I was gonna tell you about this thing. Let me do this off screen. My, what is it? CA, where is that? Let's doodaloo. That is git CA. Git add all the things, git commit AV. I got that from somewhere. But anyway, what that does is it lets me see the diff right in my where I'm making my commit message, which is pretty cool. And it anything that I have changed will be added to this commit, so I can see the changes to be a commit. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm adding a feature for the label, and this is add get label props. This is useful for encouraging accessibility. Closes an issue. Which one? Number 38. Okay, and then we'll push that. And we'll go to our pull requests. Tell everybody I'm on my way. Oh, ha! Well, I guess that's why I need the token. So if you'll stand by, please, I'm gonna go ahead and be right back. Hey folks, so yeah, I kind of busted stuff and I still am working on it, but I have stand up in about 10 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up and I'll see you all around later. Wish me luck on this whole GitHub thing. At least I made it so that you can't use that token, so that's good, but hopefully I can get it to work so I can actually push to GitHub. So this is me again revealing how little I know about software and that I'm pretty much just hacking at stuff. So anyway, I'll see you all later. Good luck.